right, you guys, welcome back. We are going to be talking about lesson 59 today in Saxon 8-7. This is for my 7th graders. This is where it pays to watch the videos because in the book it tells you to use a number line. We're going to be talking about adding and subtracting integers. However, I think using a number line takes a little bit more work. And so I'm going to show you a couple things with using that number line, but you don't have to draw that out every time. In fact, I think it's a lot easier the way I end up doing it. So let's start first by talking about absolute value. Helps if I could spell things correctly. Absolute value. Absolute value. I gotta sharpen my pencil, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Absolute value. How far something is from 0 on a number line. So let's say we have this number line here. Throw the 0 right in the center. We got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come back to this one quite a bit, so I'm going to actually make it a little bit bigger. 4, 5, and 6. Then on this side, let's get rid of this guy. All right, so then we have -1, -2. These are not spaced out evenly. -3. -4. -5. -6. All right, so if I were to say, what is so example number 1. This is not in the book, but I want you to see -3, the absolute value of -3. How far away is it from 0? Well, here's a -3 on a number line. It is 1, 2, 3 spots away from 0. So the absolute value is 3. The absolute value of +3. Well, that is 1, 2, 3 spots away from 0. So the absolute value of +3 is 3. Absolute value is absolutely positive every time. If you have a negative, make it a positive. That's all you got to do. Absolute value of -17 would just be +17. Okay, so let's see about this guy. Let's see we won't call it example 1. We'll call this one example number 1, the actual one in the book. It says absolute value of 3 minus 5. So if we take a look at the number line here, okay, we start at 3 and we take 5 away. So we start here at 3 and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that we end up at -2. So this is absolute value of -2. And the absolute value of -2 is absolutely positive. +2, right in there. Let's look at example number 2. Nope. Actually, let me move that down. All right, example number 2. -3 plus +5. That's all these parentheses mean. These parentheses are guarding a positive and a negative number, okay? They're just guarding their number. So we start at -3 and we add 5 to it. We come back up here, we start at -3, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We end up at 2. So -3 and +5 will give us 2. That was for A, by the way. Then for B, -4 plus -2. So we come over here, -4 plus -2. So we go -4 plus -2, which means we go in the negative direction. So we're going to go 1, 2. It's -6. Now, so with this is a number line. I think this can be a little confusing. So I actually prefer to do it a different way. I'm going to show you how I do this guy. All right, so for A there, we've got these chips here. Red is negative, yellow is positive. So for A here, we have -3, +5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3. Every negative and every positive cancels out. So these guys cancel out and they go away. These two cancel out. These two cancel out. And I'm left with 2 positives, right? Because yellow is positive. And that's exactly what happened here. Now let's try that with this guy down here. We have -4 and -2. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 2 negatives. 1, 2. Now none of these can cancel out because you can only cancel a positive with a negative, right? So then we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 negatives because they're red, right? We want to make sure. Another way, so that's another way of visualizing this. The third way is I like to think of them as teams, and personally, I'm a hockey fan, so I like to think of them as hockey teams. We have the positive team and we have the negative team. Which team, so here's our -3 and our +5. So I'm going to use, again, these guys to represent. So we've got -3 and then +5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So -3, positive. So which team is larger? Well, it looks like our positive team is larger. By how many? 2. There's 2 more on this team than there are on the other. So that's going to make our answer. So we can think of them as like sports teams. Now, how does that apply? And basically what we're doing here, do you notice we're just finding the difference between the teams. Difference means subtract. Math has, math and English go together. So here, this is where it's a little different though. We have 4 players on our negative team, and then we have 2 more players on the other negative team. How big is our team now? So this case, we're not finding the difference. We're just figuring out how big is that team here. So we're adding those 2 teams together, okay? It's still the negative team, and there's 6 players. So you may hear me say which team is larger and by how many. That's why I wanted to show you that way. You do not have to draw out a number line to do this every time, especially when we get into subtracting. Otherwise, it is going to be a big pain in the butt and you're going to hate life. So I'm lazy, guys. I'm going to teach you the easiest way to do something. Okay, so with that said, we have, okay, so example number 3. It says sketch a number line to show this problem. No, you don't have to do that. It's going to take you forever and you'll hate life. It says -2 plus +5 plus -4. Well, when we have more than 2 teams, we've got 3 teams here. Let's gather up all our teams. We've got -2 and -4. That is still the negative team, and there are 6 players on it. There's no canceling out, right? This guy is different, so I'm just going to bring that down. +5. Now we can ask ourselves, they're different teams, so we're going to find the difference. Which team is larger? Our negative. There are 6 players on our negative team and only 5 players on our positive. So our negative team is larger, and by how many? Well, there's 1 extra player on the negative team than there are on the positive team. So our answer is -1. Way easier than drawing a number line, in my opinion. Okay, so the practice problems say draw a number line and sketch a number line to show each addition problem. You don't have to do that. So give me a second. I'm going to pause this, write them down so that you guys can see. So bear with me one sec. Okay, guys, so here are the practice problems. Remember, these need to be at the top of your homework. So you'll notice I started out with the parentheses, but then I got lazy towards the end. You don't have to use parentheses to protect your negative and positive. Also, you'll see that they're using the positive number. I drop using the positive because you don't really need to. If it's a negative, you'll be told it's a negative. If it's not negative, it's positive. Those are your 2 options. So let's take a look, and we're going to use my team method here. We have 2 players on the negative team and 3 players on the negative team. These are on the same team. So it's still the negative team, and now there are 3, 4, 5 players total. 5 players total. Now, +4 and +2. This is the positive team, right? And there are 6 total players. Now, looking at this guy here, we have a negative team and a positive team. Which team these are different teams, right? So which team is larger? It looks like our negative team is because it's got 5 players versus our positive team, which has 2. So our negative team is larger. And by how many? Well, there's 3 more on that team, right, than there is on this team. Okay, we have +5, -2. Which team is larger? Positive. And by how many? By 3. This guy right here, now this is tricky. If you get a -4 and a +4, if we come back over here and we take a look at this, we've got -4, and then we've got +4. Right? So remember, our pattern is we can get rid of, 1 gets rid of 1, 1 gets rid of this, 1 gets rid of this, and then 1 gets rid of this, which means we have 0 left. So this is a real fun one when we start simplifying equations or solving equations. You're going to want to do the opposite. So the opposite of -4 would be +4 because that gives us this glorious 0, big fat goose egg. Okay, looking at this guy here. Remember, if there's more than 2 teams, let's gather up all our teams. We've got -3, -1. That gives us -4. And then we've got that +6 there, right? So plus 6. All right, now it looks in this order. Which team is larger, our negative team or our positive team? Looks like our positive. There's 6 players there. And it's larger by how many? By 2. All right, for G, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. Plus, I'm going to bring that down. The absolute value of 3 is 3. 3 plus 3 gives me 6, should be your answer. Now, when it's inside the absolute value signs, we want to do everything that's in here first. 3 minus 3 is 0. The absolute value of 0, 0. Absolute value of 5 minus 3 is 2, and the absolute value of 2 is 2. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, welcome to your introduction on negative numbers. Woohoo! It's very exciting. Thanks, guys.